Let's be real. Most realtors don't have a hard time because they're bad at selling homes. They have a hard time and they fail a lot of times because they haven't implemented systems in their business. And when you don't have systems, you end up relying on stress, guesswork, and like a grind it out mentality, instead of building around predictability, consistency, and confidence. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 essential systems that every high-performing realtor needs to scale with intention. These are the frameworks that draw the line between agents who are barely hanging on and those who grow, lead, and actually enjoy the business they've built. Now, make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to give you a tool that's going to help you to build your own systems like the ones I'm going to show you today. All right, system number 1 is lead generation. If your lead generation isn't systemized, then every morning your pipeline is at the mercy of chance. And let's be clear, chance is not a business plan. You can't operate on that. If you imagine 2 agents start on the same day, one wakes up unsure of where the next deal is going to come from, cold calling today, door knocking tomorrow, praying that it works. The other one is running consistent Facebook ads, optimized, they've got follow-up text, pre-scheduled after every open house, they've got a referral pipeline that's always in motion. One is constantly chasing and the other is consistently attracting. There's a massive difference. One burns out and the other builds equity in the business. So when you look at your lead gen, do you know what's going on inside of everyone who's cold, everyone who's warm, everyone who's hot? Meaning, do you know what they're up to, what they're doing? Do you have consistent messaging that's going out to these people? Like, what happens when cold leads are in your system? Do they just sit there and you call them twice and then forget about them? Like, how do we get them into motion and into the next stage, which is warm? And then when they get to warm, what does that look like? Are you sending them Loom videos? Are they on a strategic automated system? What happens with them to get them to hot? And then what do you do with the hot leads to convert them into clients? Unless we have a system to take people through this entire path, you're just relying on hustle and guesswork. Because let's be real here, 87% of realtors are out of the business within 5 years. And the number one reason is lack of consistent lead flow. There's data on Zillow that shows that if you respond to a lead within 5 minutes, you're 9 times more likely to convert them. So ask yourself this, when you look at your lead gen, is it working like a 24/7 machine? Or is it, I'll get around to it when I can? Because lead generation without a system, that's like fishing without a net. You might catch something, but you'll probably starve before you scale. System number 2 is lead conversion. It's one thing to get leads, it's another thing to convert them into clients. And without a conversion system, you're bleeding opportunity. Think about it like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. It doesn't matter how much water you pour into this thing because most of it's leaking out. And similar to the last thing that we were looking at, like what happens with those people? How are you converting them? What is the process for a cold lead here or a medium lead right here, a warm should I say, and a hot lead? Like what are the things that we're doing to get them into our ecosystem and to drive them down this funnel which leads to clients? So we really have to think about this conversion process effectively because it's not the same for each section. This could be free Facebook groups in here. It could be obviously email. It could be social media, YouTube. What are those things? And then with your warm audience who are actually know, like, and trust in you, then is it, specific social media for them? Have we got email for them? Do we have a community maybe? Like, what does that look like? And then for hot people, like, how are we taking them from hot to becoming actual clients? How do we beat off our competition? How do we convert them into our ecosystem and make sure that we are the ones that are working with them? Because here's a pretty wild stat. 50% of sales go to the agent who responds first. Meanwhile, the average conversion rate for online leads is less than 1%. But agents with strong systems, strong conversion systems, they convert at 3 to 5%. That's 5x the business from the same leads that are coming in. This is not luck, this is leverage. If you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, The Oakland A's didn't win because they had more talent or more money. They won because they played the numbers with discipline. Real estate is the exact same. One agent wings it, the other has scripts, drip campaigns, a 10-day conversion plan, a funnel, lead magnets. One stays stuck, the other scales. All right, system number 3 is client onboarding. So we've got the leads, we've now converted the leads with our systems, but how we start a relationship often determines how it ends. Client onboarding is your chance to lead, to build trust, to set expectations, and to lay out the game plan for those people who have put their trust in you. And studies show that 80% of clients decide whether they'll stay loyal to you during their first impression phase. And McKinsey reports that standardized onboarding improves client satisfaction by over 20%, while also cutting down the number of issues that pop up later. Because you know as well as I do, most blow-ups later in the transaction trace back to expectations that weren't set early enough. And I like to think about this as like onboarding, like laying the tracks before the train starts moving. If you do this right, everything can run a whole lot smoother. If you skip it, everything's got a high likely probability to go off the rails. So if you were to look at your onboarding process right now, what would it look like? So step 1 is obviously the welcome. So what happens when they sign on with you? What's the big welcome? What's the quick win that you can give them? What does that look like? Hey, I've got showing set up. We're ready to go. I've got all your docs in order. Like, what's the big quick win that you're going to give them to set authority and let them know like, oh, this guy or girl is proactive. From there, what's the plan? Have you laid out the game plan? Have you talked them through the entire process of what's about to happen? Whether this be in a series of Loom videos, YouTube videos, or a conversation on the phone, or a document, like laying this out in front of them and being like, hey, here's all the steps that we're going to go through in this transaction, and I want to get you in front of them so you know what's coming. The next one for us is the dream team. So who are these people that your new clients are going to need to know? So 3 big ones that you can quickly think of is like the lender, title, and inspector, right? Those are kind of the big 3 that we would start to introduce them to. We collaborate this as a dream team and we say, hey, we've got your back. Like, here's the dream team, here's a group text with everyone in it, boom, we're ready to go, or a group email, whichever way you want to do it. But once they know that they've got a team behind them, this is huge. And the next step is what really creates something special, because then you can delegate. This is so important because, as you know, as a realtor, you're the middleman for everything and everyone. Anything going on inside the contract, you're the one that has to take the brunt of it and then defer it to someone else. If you set up the roles and expectations up front, you can save yourself so much time and headaches by making sure they know, hey, any financial question goes to the lender. Any question about title goes to title. Any question about the contract you might have or paperwork goes to the transaction coordinator. So you're kind of becoming this quarterback in the game who makes sure all the plays run the way they're supposed to play and that we win the game. Now, this is just 4 steps in a giant white glove onboarding system that we have, and I give that to all of the people who partner with us in the group. If you want to talk about that at all, there's a link below if you want to get all this training for free every single week, all my systems, all the stuff we do in AI. Click the link, we can have a chat and see what that looks like for you. But the thing about the onboarding piece, if you remember my kids' favorite movie, Jurassic Park, think about the experience that the visitors were supposed to have before it all went crazy. You know, they go into that room where they're sitting down and the DNA comes up on the screen and it's showing them like, here's what happened to dinosaurs, and it gives them the game plan of like, oh, this is Jurassic Park, and then it should take them in to see the dinosaurs. So it gave them the branding, the safety checks, the promise of what's to come. That's what is great about onboarding. It feels special. It feels like, oh man, we're about to do something if you do it right. One agent throws clients into chaos with phone calls and contracts and confusion. Another helps them with a clear roadmap and timeline and a plan. One creates stress, the other inspires confidence. Onboarding is a massive system to build. Okay, number 4 is transaction management. This is where deals are either protected or lost. Not because of lack of opportunity, but because of lack of organization. If you think back to Apollo 13, that mission was not saved by chance. It was saved by systems, checklists, processes, and precision under pressure. And in real estate, this is really no different, because an agent might be juggling sticky notes and voice memos and late night texts and scrambling. But if you have systems, you're using a checklist-driven system, built-in reminders, and scheduled client updates. Again, one is chaos, one is calming to your clients. And we build this out specifically for kind of each stage of what a client would go through. So if we're going to take a buyer, for instance, if we look at the kind of big stages of what this looks like, once they go under contract, the first one is the earnest money. So how does that work? How do we do this? Where does it go? Who picks it up? We have a checklist, an email that goes out to them and explains the entire process of earnest money. Because here's the thing, you and I might have been in real estate for years and years and years, so it's so easy for us. But a brand new, like a first-time home buyer, I don't know what earnest money is. I don't know where it's supposed to go. I don't know why the relevance of it is so important. So we have to educate. So as we go through the transaction, whatever milestone is coming next, our clients get the information up front before it happens to educate them and let them know what to expect. So as soon as we go under contract, boom, this email goes out. Hey, next thing is earnest money. Here's what it looks like. And we can either do a checklist, we could do a video, whatever feels good to you. And then the next one would probably be inspection. So what do they need to know? Can we make a video about that? Can we put some best practices? What does that all entail? Do they pay for it? Do you pay for it? Does the seller pay for it? We want to educate them before it even comes up. So as soon as earnest money is deposited, our transaction coordinator sees it is deposited, boom, this email goes out. Awesome. We're good to go. Here's what's coming next, inspection, and here's what to expect. And that goes through specific Colorado details that they can expect. If it's a mountain property, we might be dealing with septic tanks, we might be doing all sorts of things. So set yourself up for success to inform them of what this looks like. Okay, once we're through inspection, then the next thing might be appraisal. All right, what do they need to know about that? Here's an email, everything you need to know, appraisal. Then it's going to be something like loan contingency. What do they need to know? All about that. And of course you're talking to them and stuff on the way. But this is like white glove stuff. This is systemized attacking things before they come up, because it's like, oh, I saw your email. Hey, I just had a quick question about this. Instead of having to call them and being like, hey, next up is appraisal. Let me just kind of tell you and walk you through that entire thing. So instead of like a 20, 30 minute conversation, you can get that down to 5, which has more time for money-making activities, and then you're good to go. And then post-close. What do they need to know? What should they know about post-close in their specific thing? Send them the information, get this systemized, get it automated. This will change the game in terms of how much clarity and calm you can bring to your clients. Because here's the big thing, here's what you need to know. 20% of real estate transactions fall through before closing, and most of the time is due to missed contingencies, poor communication, or missed deadlines. Agents who don't systemize like this are typically 2 to 3 times more likely to be the cause of these failures. Ooh, that's brutal. But on the other hand, agents using transaction coordinators or automation tools cut their errors by up to 40%, which is massive. So managing transactions and building a system like this, if you don't do it, it's like juggling torches, right? It might look impressive, but it's only a matter of time until you drop one and something catches fire and the whole place burns down. All right, our last system number 5 for what you need is repeat and referral business, because your past clients are your greatest assets, but only if you treat them like one. So here's a stat for this one that kind of baffles me every time. 89% of buyers say that they'd use their agent again, but only 12% do. Why is that? Well, it's because most agents disappear after the deal because they're transaction to transaction to transaction, and you treat it like some kind of Tinder date. It's madness, because that's not just a missed opportunity, it's an avoidable one. It's an avoidable one if you have a system in place, because repeat and referral clients cost 5 to 10 times less to acquire than brand new leads do. And for the top producers in our industry, 60 to 70% of their transactions come from their existing relationships, which is pretty wild. But it's not because they're lucky, it's because they're intentional. If you think about The Godfather, loyalty is everything in that movie. But if you're an agent who vanishes after the closing table, this is going to be detrimental to your business. But if you're an agent who touches base quarterly, who sends them follow-up notes, who sends maybe them gifts, who keeps them in on maybe client events that you're doing. Like, this is how you build it. And your client list, your past client list, is kind of like an orchard. If you can take care of it, it's going to keep on producing. So you have a client right here. If you touch them 4 to 5 times during the year, it's going to produce more leads and referrals for you. So you got to start looking at like how many of your past clients you're reaching out to, what that process looks like, how it's systemized, and if you are hitting them in a way where they're going to want to react by rewarding you with more business. If you are just missing the boat on these, like, forget it. You're just going to be lead generating all the time and not having any easy business come into your system. Your client list, your past client list, is really like an orchard, like I said. If you take care of it, it will keep producing. If you ignore it, it's going to die off. So these 5 systems, lead generation, conversion, client onboarding, transaction management, and past client follow-up, are not optional. They are foundational. They're the difference between chasing deals and building a business. And if you have systems in place, you create predictability, you build trust, you scale efficiently, and you reduce your stress, and ultimately you buy back your time and your life. Now, I have a tool for you. It's a custom GPT that I've spent a lot of time building. It's completely free. There's a link for it below. This is going to help you figure out what systems you're missing in your business, how to build them, and which ones that you should focus on next. So click that link below. It's a free GPT. You can go on and use it. It's pretty dope, if I do say so myself. So go on there. Don't get overwhelmed trying to build all these things at once. Let the GPT walk you through what to do next, because then you can focus, then you can start where you need to start, build it, and then move to the next one. Because once these 5 systems are like up and running, are in sync, and they're in motion, this is where your business becomes unstoppable. So grab the GPT, go use it. If you want to chat about partnering and getting my coaching for free, there's a link down there as well. If not, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. That would do us a massive favor, and we'll see you on the next one.